And we are going live. Tatavik, we are all yours. Good morning.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. So on Mondays, let's talk about what we have planned for this week and what we are going to work on today. And let's mention what we are thankful from last week. I'll start from the top right corner with Florian being the first one.
Hello everybody, happy Monday. So what I was working on today is finishing up the human baseline runs with our new persona traits included. So I found a few things. So I've run so far on all of the US population, and I found a 7% increase in Manhattan similarity from before, which I think is pretty big. Only like a 4% increase from just the implementation of the decision model that we have. The new decision model, that being like where we force the LLMs to respond or think about it for a certain amount of time. That's what I did today. I thought that was pretty cool to see it increasing. It shows that we're going in the right direction, I think. And actually that's so for the rest of the week, I'll try and like fine tune this, I think, or find another task to work on.
Florian, this is including Joaquim's work?
No, excluding Joaquim's work. This is basically just what we have in dev right now, just testing it out.
Wow. And other than the asking the language model to explain its answers before it gives the answer, what are some other things that you did? So we're effectively you have effectively created a reasoning model that acts more human, whereas all of the previous reasoning models we've tested behave less human.
And not really. I mean, the point was more that when we did our human baseline runs before, we never took into account any of the actual persona traits like noted in the papers. We just always defaulted to like a standard age range, a standard education range levels and so on, and race levels and so on. And now that we found if we actually give it like concrete ranges for what was found in the paper, we see this increase that I said now. I mean, that and also the new decision model that's what implemented, I think, has increased the Manhattan similarity from what we saw before. And this is more in line with like what we actually have in like production and dev.
What is more in line with what we have in production and dev?
Like testing it this way, because in production and dev we also give it like the demographic traits and actual like core population traits that match what we're testing, basically.
Beautiful. So this would imply that the system is becoming more sensitive to subgroup variability?
That I cannot speak on, I don't think. So, but if maybe you have a better answer than I could give.
Yeah, I mean, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So in a way, yes, right? Because now that we are matching the same population distribution that was done in the paper, and we see it gets close, so that means two things. Of course, it's becoming more sensitive, and then it may also have become more sensitive because the way we now pass the persona information. So we don't just say age is this, gender is this. We kind of describe like a story, like you have this kind of personality and everything. So I think together both of them probably would have made a difference. And now that once we have additional latent variables, and then if we see even further increase, then it means that actually providing the whole persona information in a story format actually leads to a way better response than simply saying whatever age, gender, blah blah blah.
Beautiful. And Florian, when you say the Manhattan distance is up 7%, is that like going from 50 to 57, or is that going from 50 to 53% or something like that? Like what's the actual average number?
Yeah, 50. Well, from the decision, just from implementing the decision model, it's from 53 to 57, and from what we had before, it's 50 to 57.
So it's a 7% absolute number, so a 15% relative number. That's huge.
But this is only on the 5 that I ran for now. So this is only across 5 human baselines. I have this. It might average out to be a bit lower with the
Or
other,
higher.
yeah, or higher.
Excellent. Nice work.
Great, thank you so much. And Eric is next.
There we go. Hi, everyone. Our power went out last night, so my internet is a little unstable. So today, I mean, what I've been doing today and what I started doing is I have a lot of follow-up to do. I have a lot of letters out there. I have meetings out there that are scheduled to sort of, if you think of a farmer, I've been planting a lot of seeds and now it's time to sort of harvest. So I can go through a whole list of clients that I'm working on in different verticals, but at the end of the day, I have to start these things kicking them down the field. And so, my only blocker is really just there's so much noise out there that we're trying to get the individual's attention, right? Not only do they have their own responsibilities in their company, but they're probably fielding questions from every vendor that wants to work with them. So I'm trying to identify the ones that I feel are, more open to hearing about a new project, a new vendor, and that usually means if they've taken a new position with a company. So I have certain alerts that allow me when an individual in my network or someone that I'm focusing on has left their company and started a new job, that disruption is a trigger that says, oh, this person might be they might be open to listening to what I have to say, because most of these people historically want to bring, a fresh perspective, want to bring in new vendors. And so that's what I've been doing. And I guess I'm grateful for my health. I mean, I am grateful for health. That's what I got.
Did you get a haircut?
I got a haircut, yes.
Looking good. Sure, very nice.
Thank you. It's a Subconscious AI approved look.
Thank you. And Chin is up next.
Hi guys, good morning and happy Monday. I was working on the token probability stuff, and I am just like still doing a bit of cleanup. I'll kind of be done within an hour. I'm just like there are like a few edge cases, like for example, right now I'm just checking as an example for agree and disagree in the vocabulary, but like functionally it can also not return either of those, right? So I need to like just take care of a few edge cases. I am getting values though, but I just need to like clean up everything and I'll be done with that soon. uh, but yeah, after I'm done with that this week, I'm also assigned another issue that's 1343, which is like uh, just like redoing the results interpretation in inside of the, well, I don't know if it's still called market simulator, but well, it's not actually inside of the market simulator. It's just when we look at the experiment, I'm just gonna add a new tab which kind of puts all the results together into like, it's basically experiment outcome plus plus, but outside of the market simulator. I mean, at least that's how I interpret the issue, and that's what I found out when I talked to support about it. But yeah, so I'll be finishing up with this and hopefully working on that this week. So that's everything.
When you when you use the distribution of responses, or the token generation response distribution, do we expect that to, like, how do we expect that to improve the user experience? Will that increase the alignment with humans? Will that decrease the number of tasks we need to run for the same statistical power? What do we think the big benefit of that will be?
It's it's like decreasing hallucination. So the hope is accuracy, right? Because it's like the equivalent of putting like an electrode into a human being, like, and just like getting the interpretation right from their brain instead of asking them what it is, right?
So sorry. So what?
So,
What? So we think it will be more human?
well, I don't think this part needs to be more human because this is not exactly a question we ask human beings directly, right? Or am I like when you ask a number from a human being, obviously you're gonna get like you when you look at the distribution of like 1 to 100, you're not gonna get like you know, it's not gonna be a flat line, right? People are gonna pick the same number sometimes if you ask for a random number, right? So it's like there is a bias in human beings, but we're not trying to replicate that for certain cases where we want the accurate number, right? We want to know how, like, we want to get an actual value that has some mathematical basis. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Like, instead of asking the LLM, I'm just getting it directly from the LLM's mind, so to speak.
And are we still using Pydantic for this?
Uh, yes. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I mean, I wrote a new prompt template, but I don't.
But if you
Uh,
had a class in the executor, then it will be Pydantic, which is
yeah,
most likely the case.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I already commented that, so I don't see it in my differences, but I guess I did.
Is that a yes? It does use Pydantic?
Yes, I guess yes.
All right. I still don't entirely understand what the benefit is of this exercise.
But I'll be done with it soon, so I mean, um, it won't take up any more time. We'll see. Like, hopefully,
I mean, I would
get the
argue
result.
if you could remove Pydantic
Mhm.
and just have it get one character and then check the distribution of that character without Pydantic, then I would say you're like most focused. Because like what we want to do, like our claim is we want to avoid the natural language generation NLG as much as possible because NLG is where most of the like non-human bias is. So if we could avoid, I don't know, it's an experiment. Whatever. Never mind. All right. Good work. Thank you for working on this.
Yeah.
What are you grateful for?
Oh, I'm grateful to that I live in a walkable city. Can always step out and just get anywhere. Everything's nearby. So.
Thank you. Let's go to Avi next.
Thank you, Tativik. I am working on more outreach. I'm going to focus a little bit more on like the private equity angle. It seems like a lot of the like top venture capital groups are becoming RIAs and becoming a little bit more acquisitive. They're like not as afraid of roll ups as they used to be. This is something we've been talking about for like kind of 6 months. We haven't really executed any roll ups yet, so it's going to be kind of a tricky strategy to pitch, but we'll be pitching effectively like a venture for a future roll up with the purposes of rolling up all these market research firms. I'm going to start doing that. We were kind of starting like backwards with like the tier D and tier C and tier B groups. And so this week we're going for kind of like the tier A guys. We're going to be approaching them through warm introductions. We're also going to this week apply for Antler, NYC, and Techstars, which are three of the big like accelerators, which I think we're probably ready to go to. I'm gonna follow up with KK. I've not heard back from KK Pablo. I've also not heard back from our other friends in the Reg A business, so I'm gonna reach out to them. And then I have probably like at least 3 or 4 VC meetings every day this week. My goal is to close 1 by the end of this week. We'll see where that goes. We did not win the NYU thing last week, which I was very surprised at. We have not received the feedback yet from the judges, but when we do, we'll make that public. I kind of want to do this thing. We have this document that we save where like anytime we get negative feedback, we like, we put it into this document. Like positive feedback goes in the deck, negative feedback goes into this Word document for like, criticisms from the public. And 99% of it is noise because most VCs don't know truly market research or AI or psychology, but everyone likes to have an opinion. I was thinking of making this document public, just kind of to bias towards like the transparency and like not just public within this group, but like public kind of like towards the world. So when we get that feedback, I'll put it in there, and then we'll make it public. What else? But we got like 5 or 6 VCs actually reached out from that pitch saying they want to talk to us. A bunch of them scheduled meetings this weekend. So in the end, I think it was a good experience. I'm grateful for feedback. I'm grateful for all critical feedback. All feedback is a gift. Thank you, judges, for rejecting us and giving us feedback. I should say rejecting me, not rejecting us. Although I will say fundraising is kind of like sales. Like 99% of people say no, but you really only need one. I have this mat that I got from Kevin at Finta, and on the bottom it says it only takes 1 yes, which is not true for us because we're raising a little bit of a bigger round. It's going to take more than 1, but I would say maybe even in a way, raising venture is tougher than sales because you get the same kind of response rate, but in sales people will say no, and VCs will never ever say no. They'll just say not right now, but that's like their polite way of saying no. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I'm like running again. I've been like putting in 2-3 miles a day, and that has been feeling good. So like I'm grateful to like my walkable, runnable, I should say, community up here. And I'm grateful for the Manhattan distance to continue to increase. That's wild to me. Nice work.
Thank you. Let's go to Sarah next.
Hello. Last week I attended VC meetings with Avi. One went really well with Outlander, so that was exciting. I also helped Avi prepare for the NYU event, which is getting materials together. Those are the 2 big things. And then this week I'll also help Avi with the VC meetings, following up with the VCs, being prepared, like with knowledge of the companies before we meet with them, and just anything else that comes up.
You rebuilt our data
great.
room.
Oh yeah, well you helped me with that too. So we both rebuilt the data room, which is exciting because I definitely think we were missing some like receipts and data that could give VCs a bit of more confidence in the things we say. So thank you for helping with that.
And you did that video. The people love that video. We played that video in front of 350 people.
The one with you, the team, and SpaceX case study?
The one with just SpaceX and the walkthrough.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad they liked it.
Thank you. Let's go to Subot next.
Well, I'm grateful for a nice weather. sun is like really in the where it needs to be, neither cold, neither hot, 15-degree awesome. So I'm sitting in my garden. Coming back to work, uh, Joaquin finally, I think, finished his part of the code. So tomorrow, me and Madi will sit and integrate a little bit or whatever we need to, so that we have the whole concept test ready. We have already made all the necessary changes that needs to be done in the backend. We just have to merge his code and test, and we will be good. Tushar will give his update, but he has pretty much readied the front end. Also, the analytics page that will accompany the concept testing. And beside that, I'll also put the new changes that help us figure out if a attribute can be treated as a continuous, so that we can increase the sensitivity. I'm hopeful the new one will pick up more cases. We're missing a lot of edge cases that was leading to price being not so sensitive in most of the cases. So that should, uh, to a large extent, get fixed. And I'm still working on my code where we work directly with the probabilities. And beside that, I will try to find some time this week so that I can go through all the data that Atish has brought in for 4 or 5 different European countries, so that we can also get that thing into the dev, so that people can also run true population definitions for these countries. So these are, yeah, probably 3 or 4 tasks that I'm looking to wrap up this week.
That's a lot of stuff.
I mean, most of them have been done. So me and Mahdi, I think another 4 or 5 hours concept testing, picking up continuous attribute, those will be done and merged. And then a day or two to figure out and go through all the Atish data and make appropriate changes in the backend. And then I'll just bug the other week. Yeah.
And the models for continuous attributes are going to be nonlinear.
No. They are not non-linear, but at least we show w- way too many values from a range rather than just showing lower or upper range. So even if we don't put any functional form, just still treat them eventually as a category. But since we have so many combinations shown, the betas and the standard errors will be such that they don't cross the zero line more often.
And the betas are going to be linear still.
Betas are still linear. They are still linear. It's fine. So here's the thing: you can make betas non-linear, put different distribution. the the thing is, it will sell nicely into academia, but people in industry, it only creates problem to them.
Right.
They have a hard time figuring out what the beta itself means.
Right.
If you
Right.
put a distribution on top of it, it only creates more confusion to them.
I love that. Okay, that's a good. You have good instincts. Yeah, keep it simple, keep it interpretable.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's pretty much it.
Uh, let's go to Javi next.
Hello everyone. Happy Monday. Today, me and Tushar worked on why and where components, created manageable small components, subcomponents, and hooks for maintainability. For now, our focus is to keep the code maintainable. Yeah, and also migrated and also created types to be close to the components, and unless it's a shared type as a global. And yeah, that's it.
I
For
know.
why and where.
I noticed
Yeah.
Hadi, not for the why and the where, but for the what and the who, specifically for the what, and for the who. the kind of adding new attributes and adding new attribute levels, and then kind of deleting and adding new attributes, and like having attribute limits and attribute level limits. That experience in dev, and I know it's in dev and I shouldn't be testing in dev, but I was doing some demos in dev. That was quite a shaky experience from a UI perspective.
Actually, like that's I appreciate you brought that up because it's the time to fix those issues, especially in dev. Right now we are working on dev. Uh, I mean, I request everyone, if there is an issue with dev, just report that right now we are working to fix. Uh, so actually the who is the most complex one. The what is not that much complex. So I have updated the who and the what on Friday, but that's still needs some more work. For why and where, it's complete. We don't need to do any other updates. Yeah, for the rest of the week, we will work on the who component and what component to fix all the issues. And if it's done, then we'll move to other pages.
And so, Hadi, oh shit, sorry about that. Excellent, 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 Hadi. So if we have somebody coming on to build out like a chat interface with our models, like for example, like there is a proof of concept that I would like the group to consider. I don't know that we prioritized it yet. Where we have an AI market researcher available in Slack, and we kind of like chat with this agent in Slack, tell them what we want, and they help us go and design the experiment and then run the experiment and then give us those results. These changes that you're making either in the UI or in the back or in the API, can you have a bias towards making the changes in the API so that it would be very easy to make these like other future agents that use our tools? Like any business logic effectively should go into the API.
Right now, our focus is to make the code that ready for future updates to save our time. That's why we create smaller, manageable components or functions or hooks. So yeah, if we need to add an AI feature, even if we ask AI to do it for us, code with AI learns our coding pattern, and so it will be easy updates. In the future, it takes, it saves our time.
That's smart. That's smart. I get it. I was saying not for the AI coding, but for the AI using our APIs for the purposes of designing its own experiments.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, we can add it, and it will once we make our code base maintainable, it will be easy to add a new feature like AI chat.
Okay, great. Yeah, just don't be afraid of improving the API as well, if that if that's a limitation. Excellent work.
Well, yeah, that's not. Yeah, thank you for that. I actually, in my previous PR for state management, there was some APIs which, like, I centralized it to all the API calls should go through the route handler API slash some whatever route is there, and yeah, I will bring those changes from my previous PR.
Nice.
That's it.
Thank you. Let's move to Krish next.
Hi, how's it going? Today is a continuation of at the end of the last week where I'm kind of like dog with bone on any business helping a CPG with pricing and product preferences. I'm just knuckling down on that and picking 10, 15 businesses to outreach to. I got my first taste at being ghosted by a client after a demo, which is great. So that's fine. It's more just like it's more just going, what do you do next, as opposed to like that. Like Avi said, that happens all the time. It's cool. So just experimenting on that, and then I think I've got Apollo as well. So that's cool because I think it should help me to industrialize my time and be a bit more efficient. So that's good. I'm grateful for my local bodega not increasing their prices, I guess. Bodegas, if everyone's not in the US, are like little local supermarkets. And yeah, like everything's, you can see everything like $1 more every other week right now. So it's always nice when you go somewhere and stuff hasn't increased in price.
And can you help us, like as a team, can you help us think about like who's responding well and who's responding poorly? Like I saw a pitch from the Listen Labs guys who just got $27 million from Sequoia last week or 2 weeks ago. And they were like 89% of our corporate demos end up in a trial or end up in a paid customer. So some like outrageous number, you know? And so they clearly have like a really like a tight ICP, tight product market fit. Like what kind of feedback are you hearing for like who can use us and who really is rabid for the platform versus who kind of, shrugs their shoulders?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think it's I think there's no shortage of. Firstly, I think that there's a lot of. I see this on LinkedIn a lot right now. Like, oh, look how I did this. It achieved me 500 leads in 30 seconds. It's like that stuff is not real. Like there's a lot of hype machine stuff out there. DM me, comment, agent for the details. It's like, oh, all right. So there's a lot of that, which is frustrating. So I don't think that 89% number is real. Like frankly, if I'm just looking it off the cuff, I don't know the Listen Labs guys, but my instinct would tell me that it's easy to say like, oh yeah, 100% of my stuff works all the time. I think the ratios are a lot lower than that. I think there's a lot of spam and a lot of fake kind of success out there. So I'm trying to sort of stay pragmatic on success rates until I learn a bit more about what is actually working. In terms of product market fit, I think in general, people in my sort of old sphere marketing or my sphere, they want to do an action with the insight. So that's kind of their obsession. The information is great and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And then they move on. So it's like the what they're actually trying to do is the interesting bit, I think, of what we can achieve there. The guy I had last week was a CRO, so he just doesn't know what to do next and doesn't know how to use AI to help him do it, and so he was fascinated. He's also, I think he was saying he's got 1 million meetings, so it's, he just needs following up. So yeah, and I'll keep feeding back as I find out.
So it sounds similar to what Pablo was saying. How do we operationalize? What's that last mile?
Yeah, and for some, I think for some it's like that we used to have this in my previous companies where the SaaS dashboard itself was really hard to inseminate just because the industry itself was changing so fast that turnover was high, and when turnover was high, you cannot get anyone to use your platform because they're focused on using their own proprietary platforms, and they've only got brain space for 2 or 3 internal platforms. And so that was, especially when dealing with agencies or consultants en masse, who deal with end customers en masse, that was always the challenge, which was, we ended up being an intelligence layer in their tool and let them do the workflow, because having to cop the pains that come with training someone on a platform and keeping them account managed was a lot of labor for us, in my, so we just found it easier to go, look, here's the intelligence layer, you do you, and deal with your own onboarding issues and churn and all that sort of stuff, because it was causing us a lot of pain.
Lucy, I think you're not on mute.
Yeah, so that's I think yeah, it's a map of the customer profile and literally what are they doing with that data in the next step after it's out off your plate, and then there are always ways to either inseminate or to persuade after that, I think.
Thank you. Let's go to Pablo next.
Hey guys. I'm grateful for good health. However bad my health is now. It could be a lot worse. So trying to count my chickens. My goal this week really catch up on what has been a very eventful last week, and try to continue to hit the ground running. Another big meeting is I have a meeting. WWOF. It's a medium-sized, multi-million-dollar uniform company on Thursday, and it is in partnership with Partner. So that is all scheduled. So I'll be working to prepare for that. I have a series of experiments and replication studies or whatever that I got to do for the dairy alliance. I also have Yves Paulette from DMI back on the board. She wants to meet next week. And as always, prioritizing, supporting, encouraging, and being the best promoter I can be of the growth team that I'm also extremely thankful for.
Thank you. Let's move to Madi.
Hi team, happy Monday. So I continue working on migrating to AWS and work with Subut with the tasks that you mentioned. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's go to Lucy next.
Hey guys, I'm really grateful for having medical insurance because I'm really allergic to pollens and it's a really bad pollen season. And I got some skin infections last week, so I'm grateful for having that covered. Yeah, and just for an update, I am working on the Reddit campaign, and I discussed with Avi last week about some other alternatives other than the campaign. And I think I'm gonna work on researching that more, and see if we should continue to do the campaign because um, actually I found out my account has been like permanently blocked from posting for some reason. So like when I tried posting this morning, I think none of them work. So um yeah, that's my update, and I think I'm gonna sync with Pablo after this for another marketing meeting.
Thank you. Let's go to Shah next.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. So I have been working mainly on the concept testing and fixing some bugs. So on the concept testing part, I was provided with the Likert Scale API. So I integrated that with the front end and it's working. I showed the demo to Subak sir and Madi sir. Also, now I have the output data, how it will look. So I set up the output screen or like a dummy output screen. Uh, uh, and then I sat with Hardy to work on some of the tickets he had. Also, I side by side looked up the hunting channel and the bugs there. So I was going through them and fixing those.
Everyone always calls it the hunting channel, but then there's like a little bug. It's supposed to be bug hunting, and no one says bug. I don't know if people don't see the bug, or it's like not an obvious bug, because it's like a pretty
Right.
bug. For the Likert scale on the concept testing,
Mhm.
we have a couple of different places in the application where we have a Likert scale response. We have the panel response, effectively, the work that Joaquim is doing, and then this kind of work that you're doing for the concept testing. Are we using the same Likert scale pipeline for both of those experiences, or are we rolling our own every time?
Uh, no, are you asking about the API or the UI?
Yeah, like I mean both. I would say, because if we normalize the kind of Likert scale capabilities of the platform, we could then use them everywhere. I want to make sure we're not building the same thing twice.
I am not sure about the other one. So
Okay,
what's
so
it?
yeah, I can add that. So for latent variable, we generate, but we don't show that in the UI, at least at the moment.
Right.
We are for the concept testing, since the statement itself is a dependent variable, we need to show. So Tushar is going to show it. But when it comes to collecting a response, doesn't matter whether it's a Likert scale statement that belongs to a concept testing, or it's a Likert scale statement that belongs to discrete choice. The actual function to gather the response is the same.
And beautiful, Subodh. And so are we right to think about it as a group, that a Likert scale response in a one survey panel question is the same thing as a Likert scale response to a dependent variable?
Same as in how?
Because it's effectively like, how much do you agree or disagree with this statement 1 to 7?
Yeah. So they both are dependent variable. So in the concept testing, let's say in the first crack, it's literally going to get descriptive statistics, which is basically what 90% of the people do, right? It just collect and say these need to be collected, these don't collect, right? And then down the line, we'll actually add the modeling where we say, okay, statistically speaking, these group of people say more often yes versus no or whatever that scale is. So we will eventually build a more robust analytical dashboard for that. But for now, it's just pretty descriptive, which will do for those people. Uh, Same thing applies in the case of discrete choice. We are generating latent variables and then statements to measure them, and we collect the response. So technically, they are dependent variable. But for now, we are not going to model them explicitly as dependent variable. We're just going to add that as an additional information. But down the line, yes, we will have to also model those statements and the choice jointly. So it becomes like a two-level model.
Right. No, I think that's great. I just want to make sure that we're using the same pipes for the same activity. Yeah.
That's why I mean, we could have done it in 2 to 3 days, but since Joaquin was already doing, I'm like, okay, even if it takes 2 weeks, but let it be so that we have everything in one place.
Yeah. Pick the one that works better. And then okay. Very nice.
So once Tushar has like let's say really made the concept testing UI bulletproof, we could decide, okay, let's also show the latent variable that we are generating in the discrete choice. So then it will be easy for Tushar to just like add one component over there.
I love that. Okay, great. And I can imagine for every dependent variable, we now, if we use these this concept test, we would have like a lightning fast version, and then like a regular speed, and then a slow speed where we are currently. I don't want to say slow, 10-minute speed. Okay, great. Just a reminder, when it comes to causality, the guys from YouGov mentioned that when you ask an AI, when you ask a language model, what Likert scale rating did you have on the same question in the past, and now here's the scenario today, and then what's the Likert scale today, that allowed them to like create some more reliable policy models. I know that we don't do that now, but just something I want to remind us, it might be valuable.
I mean, that's just adding like additional information, right? That's all it is. So in the same way, we can say in the DCM choices, right? Like, okay, we are doing now, let's say, toothpaste. We did a toothbrush before. So we're like, when we had shown you blah, 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 you had chosen this toothbrush. And given the prices are same, now here is the toothpaste, make a choice. So basically, the more we can provide information about behavior, it should get there. But again, like these behaviors are kind of contingent upon your underlying motivation, right? And hence the whole goal is to get rid of these transient based, in a way, parts of the behavior which can change from time to time, and focus on something which is not long-term stable, but at least to a good extent 6 to 1 year stable if things don't change drastically. So, I mean, same in the concept testing, right? Like, if you want to be more robust, let's say it's a Dairy Alliance thing, right? So they are launching a smoothie on the go, right? Now we generate some latent variable that basically captures someone's health consciousness and whatever, blah, 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 some other motivation, and then add that into the part of the description of the individual. And that basically will lead to a way better response of anything related to the concept testing.
Beautiful.
Compared to simply saying you're so and so.
Beautiful. So like if we have like if a human is, let's say, 80% predictable, maybe and these numbers have giant asterisks, maybe 5% of the predictability is from fixed traits like demographics, 25-30% of the predictability is from the kind of objective study traits, and then the other like 50% of predictability is from hidden variables or very fast moving mindset traits that change from moment to moment. That's something like that. And then at each step you get kind of like harder to collect, you need more data, and harder to observe, okay, that's great. That's great. That's a very nice way of thinking about it. Thank you for educating us, Subodh.
Thank you. And I'll go next. So I have a very specific task I want to finish in these 2 days. Last week I mentioned that I updated the market share calculation, which is based on this new data set that takes into account not available level as well. So in my calculations part, the one that is in Rehoboam, there I also generate recommendations which changes is for the promotional emails. So I want to update that part as well, so like everything matches. So I'll finish that up quickly. And what I'm actually very thankful is that it's actually raining outside and I can hear the thunderstorms, and I'm very grateful that I'm inside and safe. Have I accidentally skipped anyone? Okay, good. Do we have any demos for Monday? Any demos? Anyone?
I made a new Miro board if we want to look at a new Miro board.
Sure.
Oh goodness, hold on. Okay, alright, hold on. Boom. Let me move this. I'll put the link out. Guys, someone else has to have a demo other than me. Alright, hold on, here we go. Alright, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Alright. So this is, I made this to kind of explain our platform. I haven't shown this to anyone yet. It's 20% complete. This is kind of the idea. So we input kind of customer data, right? We take data from LinkedIn, we take data from Salesforce, from CRMs, we take data from, all kinds of like upstream applications, and then we build digital twins of their customer. We take all kinds of product data, which is effectively like product databases, attributes, levels, like e-commerce data, and kind of just whatever other product data. Probably move this here to make it a little more interpretable there. That goes into our experimental design. And so then we take the product data and we take the people data. I would make sure maybe people data, maybe a little bit easier. Run the experiment, model it. And then we have this human validation section, which we still haven't really entirely built out, but they have the option to spend a little bit of money to go and validate our experiments with actual humans with similar traits. And then we can kind of perform this loop. I don't know where the loop goes here or here. But then at the end of the experience, instead of just showing dashboards, which we have now, Krish, this kind of goes to what you were saying. We have our own dashboard, which is something that is helpful right now. But then we could also feed our insights into Slack and have people interface via some new agent. We could load our data into existing business dashboards, or we could plug in directly to marketing destinations. We don't really have these two. We don't really have any of these three right now. Right now we have like our own dashboard, which I should probably also add to this sheet, but this is kind of the general, like, how do you ground, how do you interface with business operations, where's the last mile questions that I've been getting. Any feedback?
I mean, we don't have product data either at the moment.
Sorry?
We don't have product data either at the moment.
Sorry, Subodh, your audio's a little bit,
Can you hear me now?
not really.
Let me try.
It could be me. Is it just me? Can other people hear him?
No, it's just a different mic, I guess.
Oh, you
Can
can.
you
Oh,
hear me
my. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was saying we don't have product data either at the moment.
Right. That's true.
But then I guess this should be in the part of the page 2 VCs, right? Like we have the internal one, and now like once we have the money, just connecting and buying the subscription to build this pipeline.
Right. Yes, sir. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. Who else has?
And I think the same goes for, I guess, human validation. We need to tie up with few market research companies.
Say that again. Sorry.
So for human validation, we need to tie up with few market research companies so that we could do it actually.
Yes, sir. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, this should probably be in red because we don't really have this yet. But yeah, that's the objective. And then I should build this dashboard. And then we should get an image here of our dashboard somewhere. Does this feel kind of right if we squint as far as kind of where we're going?
Has Ambush left or is he still around?
Say again, sorry?
Is Ambush still around or has he left?
Yeah, he's around. I texted him. Well, I don't know if I think he's still around. I think he graduated yesterday or last week. So I just messaged him. I haven't heard from him today though.
I mean, I guess we'll wait another 3 or 4 days. If he doesn't do that, we'll do the whole chat thing on our own.
Yeah, have we not been able to get his stuff working?
No.
No. All right.
Thank you for the demo. Does anyone have any, what was the word, blockers or issues? Sounds like no. So I guess that concludes our stand-up for Monday. So let's stay in the channels, let's work in groups, and let's start the week on a high note.
One question.
Thanks,
One question
Patrick.
on your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, who won the competition then?
Oh my God! You're gonna make me say it. this company called Athletics. They like collect all kinds of like sports data from people who they collect all kinds of sports data, and then they run analytics on sports data from live events. They also had like 4 people there, and they were like all NYU people. I feel like if we had like we were the only team where it was just me, which was a little embarrassing because like everyone else was like 3 students at NYU who like we're graduating in spring, and I was like, I graduated like 50 years ago, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to getting the feedback. I blame myself. I blame myself. But you know, the investors and not the investors, but the panel, they were asking buying questions. They're like, "Are you raising? How much are you raising? When are you raising?" Like, none of the other teams got questions about the raise. So like that level of interest was unique to our pitch, I would say. The panel, our judging panel, there were different judging panels. Our judging panel had like an Andreessen Horowitz principal, this guy David Rose, who is like one of the like founders of like New York Angels, and then it had 2 other people. One who had actually sold her company to, I think it was Kantar. And she had like a sports analytics company that sold like a year ago to Kantar, and so that was interesting. And during the like Q&A session, she was asking questions like, oh, like I know Kantar's working on this internally. I know like, you know, Disco is working on this internally. I know these guys are working on the same kind of stuff internally. Like, how are you going to beat those guys? And I was like, well, externally they're telling people that this stuff is impossible. Externally they're telling people that they shouldn't be doing it. And there's an innovator's dilemma. But, you know, she had a valid point. Like, if our moat is working with these universities and these marketing companies to collect actions, right, to collect discrete choice experiment choices to use as our validation set, what's to stop a Cantor or a Qualtrics from taking their data and training on that? Which is a valid question. I mean, I think they would have to change their like terms and services, because I don't think they can train on their customer data today, but it's a question.
I mean, I guess the one advantage these companies have that even if they don't have any validation, people will still buy. Whereas for us, it's like show the whole validation, otherwise on your way.
And that's what drives me a little bit crazy. Like, there's all of these people using like synthetic data in descriptive use cases, right? Like, and you can't validate that data. Like, ours is the only type of data that is validatable. And if we're the only ones able to validate, we should be able to be the only ones able to generate all this qualitative work as well. And so I'm wondering why there's a higher bar for our claims than some of these other claims. I will also say a lot of these other companies, specifically the AI moderated research panels, the ones where it's like, oh, here's 50 emails that I have, like survey them, or like go through like a one-on-one dialogue, like prompt them with text and collect their responses, assess all the results. That's because those experiments are so easy to set up, that's taking a lot of revenue from the traditional market research folks, that it's really hard to set up these surveys, right? And they're setting up the surveys and running it, collecting it, analyzing it. We're doing the same thing. We're setting up the surveys, we're running it, we're collecting it, we're analyzing it, except when we're collecting it, we're not collecting it with real humans. I feel like if we were to put real humans as like validation in the collection of the task data, we could then take a big chunk of revenue and answer the validation question.
And hence we need to tie up with some couple of companies.
I think my
We need
mic.
to what?
Yeah, say that again. Sorry.
I didn't hear what you said either.
Subodh, one more time.
No, I was saying, and hence the tie up with some market research companies that we desperately need.
I wouldn't say we desperately need it, but yeah, it would be helpful. I mean, all we need is a button that says validate for 20 grand. Once we get the order to validate, we can then send it off to 20 different people. You know,
No, but we need to have a tie-up so that things can go smooth. Otherwise, if you start then contacting the vendor and everything, it will be months before you have everything, and then we lose our credibility. So if we say we get done 7 days, we need to have everything resolved.
I totally agree. Yeah. Okay. Let's get it done.
Okay. So what I noticed at the pen. Whoa. Are you guys getting an echo? Okay, I'll try again. So like for example, JP Morgan asked one of the students, their problem was that when you have a new advisor and a client.
Wait, sorry, Sarah. Can you give the context to how you collected this feedback?
Okay, so Penn has a program where big companies will bring their problems to students, and essentially the students will conduct like market research, kind of like what we do, to solve the problem for the companies. And there's like maybe 20 different like companies that Penn is partnered with, and like maybe 20 different projects. And these are all like master's behavioral science students at Penn. So that was the event that I attended where they all showed the results of their research that took about a year to do. So an example problem that one of the students was presented was a problem from JP Morgan, where they're struggling with when their clients have an advisor they've had a long time, and sometimes the advisors leave, the clients go through an advisor transition, how can they retain the client? And so that was the question the student was trying to answer. But the biggest flaw that I noticed in all of the research is that the only data that they had access to was like JP Morgan employees. So JP Morgan's like, we're not going to give you any data, but you're allowed to like interview our advisors and people that are already within the company. So I kept noticing this pattern of like, the companies come to you with a problem about their clients, but the company itself has no data about the clients. So all of their answers were like answers that definitely have biases from people that work in the company. The same thing happened with another student that I talked to. So I thought that was quite strange, and I wondered if there could be like digital twins for specifically like client data, some like way around that, because they're completely answering the questions without even speaking to clients or like people that have that type of like character persona. So I found that like very strange. And I can go ahead.
These will be a very niche kind of population, even to find out, to do a survey, even if we had actually tied up with any market research company.
Yeah, and
but it's not impossible. I mean, it's just that instead of paying 10 or 15 per survey, you pay like 50 or 100, because they need to contact actual working professional validation in terms of their post and designation and everything, which I mean, they still do.
Yeah, I just found it strange because like one more short example is an insurance company was trying to figure out, this is kind of a bad thing, but they're trying to figure out how to make like when sometimes insurance companies give out money to their like clients that they're not supposed to give out, and so the question was like, how do we get that money back? And so but not once did they talk to a single person that that had to give back money or like that type of like persona. It was only like workers in the company. So very strange.
I mean, maybe it's a good idea, Sarah. So at least you have these questions, right? Like these are not straightforward questions, right, to be answered. Maybe we'll try these through our index prompt and then see where it takes us, like what kind of attributes and everything it gives us, and then see if it reaches anywhere close to if you at least remember something in terms of the results those people have. Because this is more a nice example to actually fine tune our chat-based ideation.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I have some questions from Marco that are from the companies, so we can definitely do that. He's really excited to see what we come up with. So
Does he know about Listen Labs?
no, so we get him fast.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a two-step process, right? It's like number one, like, survey these customers, build these relative profiles of the customers, and then step two, use Subconscious to simulate all of the kind of hidden traits.
Right, but if we can do it really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
If we can do it really well for them, like these students
do
are
what
like
really well for them.
like improve the outcome of their research. All these students like get jobs right after at these companies and in market research, so it's kind of like quite interesting. The girl that's working at JP Morgan is now going to be working at like LVMH in market research, I think. So.
And so were they generally? And so it sounds like I should say. Can you kind of quantify their feedback as measured by like their likelihood to use our product?
Just a very subjective answer. I would say like very likely, especially because Marco could just be like, use this. This is really great, and then they're students, so like 8 out of 10.
Well,
I think.
But being told to use the product is different. But like the idea is, if they land in industry, they would choose to use our product. They become more autonomous. What percentage of them do you think would choose to use our product? And then, what's like the one feature we could add, or one thing we could change one thing we could change at all that would increase that number?
Like, how do I frame this? I feel like if we can improve on average their results, then I don't see why Marco or whoever has relationships that get the connections with JP Morgan, etc., wouldn't say, hey, like we recommend that you like use Subconscious on your team kind of thing, because it seems like they're influencers in that sense. So that's my answer. Does that answer your question?
Nah, not really.
Like very high. I mean, just looking at the students' research, I'm like, there's so much room for improvement. So.
Could we invite some of these students into the Discord and start working with them on current projects?
Marco gave us 3 students questions that he wants us to simulate to see the results first. So I think that's the first step, is like, let's show the Marco and Christina like the power of our platform, and if it provides a lot of value, then I'm sure that would be the next step for sure.
Beautiful. Nice work, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Maybe we do the Facebook sort of marketing plan and just give Subconscious away free to universities, like a smaller version, and let's start getting users to use this stuff, because viral is where it's at in this next generation. So we go to universities and we give them a smaller version, I don't know. I have no idea how much it costs each experiment. I don't know. You guys know the cost, but got to get a lot more users. So I'm like, what if we went the Facebook way and just created enough urgency within the educational market and created that.
I mean, that's part of our strategy. It is a long-term strategy. We are working with most of the behavioral science teams in the universities, but it's slow.
Yeah, I know. I have limited info to that. All right, yeah. And
I think at this point in the U.S., we're working with all the major behavioral science teams. I don't know. I can't say all. That's not true. That's an exaggeration.
I mean, I'm not talking about just the marquee universities. There are a lot of private, you know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how many universities have a behavioral science department?
Well, I don't know. We only need a hand.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea.
The question is not to generate revenue as much as to generate buzz. More people on the site, more. And it doesn't matter where they're coming from. From a sales point of view, I'm looking at just more use, more exposure. Whether it's, we have an idea that it's behavior only, but there could be other applications that we're missing because we're not putting it in front of more people. Could be. I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
I think it's a good guess.
Yeah. When you did say unusual, it's a scientific, right? Unusual approaches create unusual effects or applicate or ending, and I'm like, okay, yep, we all have blind spots of what are we missing in the connection between us and the end user. Something to think about. Oh.
Great. Does anyone have any more questions? Anything they want to share? Okay, seems like we can finish up the stand-up here. So, thanks everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for leading us, Tatevik.
Thank you.
See you soon.